feel the power in the air. Radioactive rhythm, but stands without care. Electric and alive in this atomic embrace. Unstoppable now in this glowing space.
In the city lights so bright, ideals flash in the night. Opponents stand side by side. Soldiers collide, nowhere to hide. This meet dreams in the street. History on repeat. Our world's in a spin. Let the future begin.
Reds are crawling like bugs tonight. Freedom's calling, gotta rise and fight. We'll stomp 'em out with all our might. Watch 'em scatter in fear and fright. Crushing commies beneath our shoes like tiny pests with nothing to lose. Crushing commies, our anthem strong. Stand united where we belong.
In our little town so serene, where the grass is green, the air so clean, we gather round the table every night. Joyful days, oh, what Sian, with values cast with generations past, living life with love that surely lasts. As the city lights look bright, we hold to our roots tight. In our hearts the same old fires, guided by the good old days. Sharing moments with friends always divine. Working hard for what we seek, respecting each word we speak, holding dear to our family ties underneath these nostalgic skies. As the city lights so bright, got you tight, with our hearts the same old fire. Dear, oh, and we sway with every change of time. But in our hearts, old love and soul, that may be in our heart, getting like a golden heart. In this fast-paced world we can fight. Traditions keep our hearts going wild. But you'll find in our heart's simple ways, we got it by the good old days.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty strong. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway. In the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The Reds are going down.
With a flagpole planted firm,
golden dreams that won't decay,
marching proudly through the day.
In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now
in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains all, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive in the light of freedom's guide. We got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds going down. Times are changing, feel the buzzing, staying true when they're fussing. Keep the flag a-flying through stormy nights. With the star-spangled banner, I stand tall with manners. Cross my heart with hope in sight. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and free, with liberty. Stick to values in the trends. Families gather, let's defend. Hold the line, keep the bond alive. Truth in our vision, in God we make decisions. For our dream, true, thrive and strive. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and prairie, with liberty. We'll keep fighting for what's right, standing strong in the night. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and bravery, with liberty.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Culturama, where on this show we are trying to reclaim the zeitgeist and bring back traditional Americana back into the United States. Happy Tuesday, everyone. It's very good to be streaming here with all of you, and I see we have quite a good audience here today, so it's going to be a really great show, and we have a lot to cover on this stream like we always do. First and foremost, as you can tell by the title of this stream, we have a very big guest. We have Chris Brunet here on the stream today to talk to us about his latest article. Yes, this is the Nick Fuentes files, everybody. This is going to be great stuff. I think you're really going to enjoy the interview. We're going to have the interview shortly here, but we have a lot of news to cover as well. My goodness, what hasn't happened this week? It's already Tuesday. We're not even halfway through, and there has been a lot of developments. Of course, we have the Trump admin leaks that have just happened, so we're going to be covering that. We have the Snow White film is bombing ridiculously low, and Disney, of course, their days are numbered. I really do think so. So we're going to be covering that as well as many other things today. But thank you, everyone that has joined. If you're new here, please like, share, and subscribe. It goes a long way in supporting this stream, and I always love to see new people here. And I see we have new people in the comments as well. And if you want to get the good news out there about the topics that I'm covering, particularly the interview I'll be having with Chris tonight, please like and share the stream. It'll be very much appreciated. And we're streaming on X, we're streaming on Rumble, on Twitch, on YouTube, all the major platforms. So on any platform, like us. Thank you so much, everyone. And so we looks like what I usually do is I like to say hello to everyone in the chat. So I would like to see if my usuals are in here. Of course, we have Barney Styles. Welcome, Barney Styles. We have a lot of new names as well, like DBOX. They're asking me to book Paul Town, DBOX. Maybe I will. Just depends on whether or not they get back to me. We have, let's see here, Scott did don't know, I think, on Rumble. Very good to see you as well. Robbie Thurman's in the chat. Very good to see you, Robbie. GS Palace also in the chat. Welcome, Mr. PYG or Mr. Pig. Hello. Of course, we have AP for Liberty. We have APOC in the chat. Good to see you, APOC. Am I missing anyone else? I don't think so. I think we have all the usuals here. Okay, everyone. We have a very good, strong lineup here today. So I'm just going to have to dive right into the show here. Now, my audio levels are really loud today. I'm sorry, guys. Let me know if the audio issues in Culturama, they sometimes go hand in hand. So please let me know if I'm too loud. I have the chat here right next to me. Anyways, like I said, we have a lot to cover, and I have to dive into the stories immediately, everyone. So we have had a lot of developments happen regarding media in the United States, okay? And one of the major players is Disney. And for the longest time, we've been seeing Disney, but as well as other major corporations, trying to push the woke agenda. Yes, I know, everyone. Big woke has tried to make their way into our lives, but it isn't happening. And one of those was, of course, Snow White. I was going to see the movie. I actually was going to see the movie yesterday, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. You guys, because I saw a clip from the film, and I gotta tell you, it was the ending of the film where everyone was singing. And it made me want to do unimaginable things. So I decided not to watch it. But I did want to examine with you together how bad this film is actually doing. So let's do that. Let's watch together here. I'm going to just jump into it right now. Okay, hold on a second. Let me get my news up here. There we go. Yes, Snow White is bombing at the box office, everyone. Who would have thought that woke Disney is on the pathway to unsuccess? Well, Snow White did not impress critics with 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, obviously, I'm not going to bring back, I'm not going to say the usual here. We all hear the big players in Big Con Inc., as well as major streamers, not as big, not as small as me, but still bigger streamers, and likewise say the same thing. Disney's woke, and it's going down the toilet with the messages that they have been pushing towards us. And this as much is true, but I really want to bring home the fact that I really do believe, and a lot of people were saying for many years that this wasn't possible, that we cannot vote with our wallet, right? And that we do need larger forces and authorities to come in and institute what culture should be, hence the name Culturama. I talk about culture here quite a bit if you're new here. But it really does go to show, at least here in this country, that we really can vote with our wallets. Truly, we've seen it happen with Budweiser. We've seen it happen with many other major corporations, and it soon will happen with Disney. I really do think so. But let's first see how many times they have to learn this lesson before they know to change. It is scoring 44%, which is already abysmally high. But even with a higher, for 74% audience score, the movie is in fact currently bombing in the box office. That's because these websites are all scam anyway. They're not real. We all know movie critics are a certain breed of people. They're just as bad as journalists, some would say. Anyway, let's continue. Snow White brought in $87 million in its opening weekend globally, with just $43 million domestically. By the way, I think it took over $200 million to make this film. So if you think about it, they're not even making a fraction of what it is they're supposed to be making to get back on what they put out to create this film. Let's look at a history, right? At the history of Disney films bombing. We have The Lion King, which did very well, very successful. Beauty and the Beast, Alice in Wonderland, Jungle Book. We have 103 million, as you can see right there. The Little Mermaid, 95 million. Aladdin, 91 million. We're getting lower. These are all remakes, by the way. Maleficent, which I'm surprised, it was one of the first to come out that was live action, even though it was its own original film. Didn't even make 70 million. Cinderella, very low. Snow White, the remake, 43 million. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? 43 million is tiny. This is less than Dumbo, you guys. Than Dumbo. I love the animated film. I didn't see the remake, but even less than the Dumbo remake. Does anyone here remember any of the commercials of the Dumbo remake or any of that? No. That's because no one cared. And yet, it made less than Dumbo. And then you have Mufasa here, which I think is still in theaters. I'm surprised it's also bombing. No one really cares about The Lion King. The Lion King remake was pretty bad. But many are questioning, like this article says, there's many ways to spin the fact that it's performing so low. You know, like, gee, I wonder why no one wants to see this movie. Maybe it's because Snow White, if you can tell, doesn't have the whitest of skin. I don't know. Maybe there's obvious messaging happening here. That's one reason. Another reason is, of course, the major political messaging that has been pushed out on us early on before the film came out. And that's what I wanted to cover with you. For instance, I love The Quartering. I'm not going to watch this video in full with you guys. I just wanted to show you the opening video here, okay, where Rachel Zegler, a ridiculous woman. I have no place in my heart for her. She stresses me out just watching her. I gotta admit, listen, she's a fine actress. Nothing about her acting. I've seen her before act. It's fine. It's whatever. But the comments she's made, she seems like an awful person to deal with. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I'm sorry. I had to put it in there. She seems like such an annoying woman. Anyways. This is her crying about the film. Okay, so let's watch the intro. Like, again, I love the Quarter Pounder. We're not going to watch this entire video. I just want to watch intro with you guys.
Everyone who hates when I win. The winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait and want to see.
It's tanking. You can see it in the headlines. Anyway, thank you, Quartering, for that quick little edit. Again, first of all, her mannerisms absolutely disgusting. Am I right? You can tell the theater kid is really like coming out in that video. There's no part of me, not a modicum of me that thinks that she's authentic here. The acting, very stiff and fake, doesn't come across all that real. Now, my hair is getting in my face quite a bit here. But what is the reason for why this movie is tanked? And that's what I really want to talk about here. I'm going to play this video here for you guys. We've all seen this video, okay? You know what's coming. Brace yourselves again. I know it's painful to listen to, but it is necessary because people like Rachel, granted, she's young, she doesn't know what she's doing, okay? Understandable, but not justifiable. Because she, of all people that works for Disney, should know that you cannot spout opinions like this, like the following that we are about to listen to. When you have such a major position in media, you cannot just go around sharing your opinions like that. I am sorry. But when you're working for something like Disney, you just have to sit back, smile, and be pretty. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. Let's listen to this video because, as we know, I'm sure you guys are aware of what I'm about to play here. But this is the reason why the movie tanked, of course.
Your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story.
God forbid.
Stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
I know that you've told me before that you're...
Yeah, a ridiculous clip. This is the thing with people in media, okay? Is that people are... especially when they go out and they watch a movie like Snow White. Okay. Snow White, the first animated Disney film. I think the first full-length feature animated feature film in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. Very not logical at all. It's a fairy tale, and people want to approach Snow White. Sure, they want to relive the moments of the past when they watch the film when they were a kid. There is sort of like that reminiscence, that nostalgia element that they want to relive, and that's whatever. Disney understands that. They're banking on it terribly, but they're still banking on that. People are still gonna shell out money just to see it. That's just the way it is. Humans are going to make stupid decisions regardless. But people, when they watch a film like Snow White, or they consume such a story, it's emotional storytelling, okay? And there's a particular way of telling a story. And one of the main emotional aspects of Snow White is, sure, it's a damsel in distress story. That's one way of looking at it, and that's true. Although I'd say it's even actually deeper than that. But Snow White genuinely is the meeting between feminine innocence and masculinity. And if you do watch the original animated Disney film, you will see that. And it seems as though Disney just does not really understand it anymore. It's almost as though they are embarrassed of their past. Well, it's not almost. They are embarrassed of their past. Their past is sort of like, to them, this like this old figure, you know, like an old relative that you're embarrassed by. And then they only come to that old relative once in a while to get free, you know, to get money from them, or some free candy if you're a kid, you know, it's something like that. And then just walk off. They don't respect their past. They don't understand their roots. And I think this goes beyond woke. They lost the roots of their past. And that is one step towards ultimate failure. And not just for a company, but for individuals such as ourselves. But you know what's even more important than the woke agenda in media? It's one thing if they're trying to push in progressive elements, you guys. Okay? I understand it's annoying. But this next story is infuriating, and that is this Adolescence story. Now, I was on Netflix yesterday, actually. I was actually watching The Terror. Highly recommended. It's very good for a Netflix series. Very interesting. But I did come across this on Netflix, and the more I looked into it, the more upsetting it was. Okay. Adolescence was inspired by the killing of Elaine Andam by this name I'm going to butcher. Don't know what country that is. Hassan Sentatmu. Okay, so this Elaine girl was killed by Hassan Sentatmu. Why have they cast a white boy to be the villain? And why has the fake PM Keir Starmer endorsed anti-white, anti-male propaganda? The demonization and persecution of white British males must stop. By the way, this is all after on the heels of when Elon Musk talked about the Rotherham scandal, which is even, if you don't know what I'm talking about, look into it if you want to be completely demoralized with a Western civilization. Anyways, the present state of it. But, so the Netflix series, by the way, once again, it's called Adolescence, is based on the true story of this individual killing a young girl. Okay? And they start a white guy, a young white man, to play him. This is the river. It's one thing if they make Anne Boleyn black. Okay? It's one thing if they make King Arthur black. That's highly upsetting. And I'm not saying that's okay. It's very upsetting. It's disrespectful. And it is, you know, or if they make Vikings black, like, it's just ridiculous. It's stupid. But this is a whole nother, this is like 10 yards even further than this, okay? Not only are they trying to rectify the issues of the past by making historically white individuals black, which is, again, stupid, but this is not just stupid. I mean, now it's, you would say, a lot of people said, hey, if they're making Vikings black, there's probably an agenda being pushed, and you have people on the other side saying like, no, people can be black, it's fine, representation is necessary. When they made Ariel black, you know, they say specifically when it's geared towards fantastical creatures or creatures that don't exist, That was especially bad because, you know, leftists would say, well, they're fantasy. It can be any color you want them to be. And I actually agreed with that. I didn't like that they made Ariel black, but she's not real, you guys. It's fine, okay? I didn't watch it. I cannot listen to Awkwafina sing. But, okay, but then they make historical figures black, and it's like, okay, now we're getting a little too... This is kind of dumb, but this is now they're making their agenda just outright obvious, and this is when I think we really need to say something, because this is outright propaganda here. Let's read the article detailing this. So once again, this is the actual individual in question. So this article doesn't talk about the Netflix story, but it does talk about the actual crime that had occurred. A teenager jailed for life for the Elaine murder. Okay, so a teenager who was repeatedly stabbed. She was 15 years old, Elaine, in a row over a teddy bear, has been ordered to spend at least 23 years in prison for her murder. Hassan, 17, attacked her with a kitchen knife outside a shopping center in South London in 2023, giving him a life term. Mrs. Justice Chima Grubb, I think is how you say it, said, quote, "The pain of her loss to her parents and younger brother is indescribable. She will always remain just 15. She will never realize the potential of her life." Okay, 15-year-old slaughtered by a black guy. And Netflix has decided that it would be appropriate to make him white. Just want to let that sink in for you guys, if you haven't already, if you're just coming in here. The agenda is outright obvious. It's naked. It's just stark naked walking down the street, and we're supposed to somehow look at this and think it's fine. I don't know. Do I have to say anything else about that? Is that, like, I haven't seen enough people talk about it, and I don't know why, so I'm just talking about it on my show. Anyways, wild stuff is happening. So yeah, the Snow White stuff, I want to open up with that because everyone and their grandmother is talking about it. It's a big flop. I'm glad we can, you know, celebrate that because it needs to flop. But stuff like this is... It's not even subversive. Like, they're obviously just stuck a white guy in there and thinks that we should be okay with that. It's just absolutely ridiculous. If you want to make a film about a murder, a young white male doing a terrible act, make your own film, make your own script, but don't base it off of a true story about a black male. It's just strange. It's strange. It's strange and it's evil because they're not only changing the narrative, it's not like they're trying to change our conception of the past, which is also in one way evil, by the way. I think history is a very serious study. You shouldn't twist the narrative of the past, but this is a completely different aspect of it. Now we've reached levels of insanity. So anyways, but I want to thank everyone that has joined. We have great viewership on Rumble, so please like, share, and comment in the stream. And also, if you are so willing, please donate a Rumble rant. It will go a long way in supporting the stream, and I'll answer your questions. I will cover stories that you want me to cover. Or it's just a good way to say hi. Or if you want to make a mean comment to me, because I'm sure that's going to happen as well in today's stream, maybe, we'll see, donate a comment as well. So thank you, everyone. I will be right back. If you are here for the interview with Chris Brunet, that will happen within the next 30 minutes, so stay tuned. I will get him on, but I'm going to be covering a couple more stories before we proceed, everyone. So, yeah, I will be right back. Let me play you guys your favorite commercial. Let's send in those Rumble rants and sit tight.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the 4 olds. old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have "Glad You Came Out" and "I'm so happy that you're queer" in the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling, because if you're tired of the same old news, then I've got just the wake-up call for you. I want to thank you for tuning in to Culturama, and I know that you're enjoying every minute of it. Join us at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. The Wake Up America show is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day. Coffee's optional, but waking up is mandatory. Remember, at Wake Up America, we'll keep you sharp, we'll keep you laughing, most of all, we'll keep you free. I'll see you in the morning.
Well, here comes Anita like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that line, make it click, you know.
Oh, here we go.
Because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So yes. And
for those of you that didn't know what just happened, Miss Crockett here, Jasmine Crockett, has called Abbott Hot Wheels. So let's read this Scott Pressler tweet, shall we? I don't use this word often, but Jasmine Crockett truly is wicked. To call Greg Abbott Governor Hot Wheels is cruel, contemptible, and speaks to your lack of character. A tree fell on Abbott when he was 26 years old, paralyzing him from the waist down. I didn't know he was at 26. Good to know. His loving wife stayed by his side, and they adopted a lovely daughter, Crockett represents the Democratic Party. I want nothing, absolutely nothing to do with Democrats. Despicable, okay? Listen, I know what she said was spicy, a little salty. And I understand where Scott's coming from here, okay? But come on, you guys. Guys in the comments, just let me know, what do you think about this? Do you think that it was kind of a bitch move? Or do you think that the right wing just needs some extra backbone or a sense of humor, right? Like, for instance, the Sarah Stock tweet, she's been blowing up. By the way, I did interview her a few episodes ago before she blew up. So if you're interested in that, you should go subscribe and to Culturama, first of all, on Rumble, and also perhaps look at that episode. She's in the thumbnail. But anyways, I thought the Hot Wheels joke was kind of funny. Okay? I thought it was funny too. Again, am I insensitive here? I'm not a big fan of Abbott. I'm not all that. I don't live in Texas. I don't care. I'm sure he's a great, swell guy. Never met the guy. But this is a thing with respectability politics, is that there's a certain way of acting, of being. There's a certain decorum that we should all display, especially when you have a position of power like Crockett does, and it's completely understandable, and we should call her out. At the same time, however, if all you do is respectability politics, if there's no room for frivolousness, or what's another word that I'm thinking of? Gosh darn it, I used it a lot this last week. If there's no room for irreverence, that's the word I'm looking for. If there's no room for irreverence, how are we going to, first of all, grow and get people involved? And second of all, Abbott is a bitch conservative, wrote Cloud Star. Welcome, Cloud Star, to the chat. I don't know much about Abbott, but I'll take your word for it. But yes, we do need some level of irreverence, because that is what, first of all, I'm going to be honest here and real with you guys, that's what young men are driven towards. And you see that often with X. My goodness, you see it with Elon Musk. The guy who owns the platform, he's highly irreverent. He's also autistic, but that's beside the point. The point is that he is largely irreverent, and that's what attracts people to politics these days, particularly conservative politics, because if there's anything about the Democrats that we have hated for so long, or progressives in general, is that they're purity tests, first of all, but they're stiff-lipped politics when it comes to implementing these particular purity tests. So, anyways, also in the news, did you guys hear Ben Shapiro? Thank you so much, AP for Liberty, for gifting subs in the chat. Very much appreciated, everyone. If you're watching, please consider donating a Rumble rant. And if we get enough donations in, I might bring out my dysgenic dog. That's always an option. But yes, thank you for the Rumble rant. I'm sorry, for the gifted sub. Very much appreciated. Okay. And also shout out for Carolyn Borosenko in the chat. I see you, Carolyn Borosenko. Welcome. I'm not reading many of your guys' comments. I see names pop up. So anyways, if you're sticking around, Carolyn, I will bring Chris on in the next 20 minutes. So, but you might enjoy this story as well. Why does it actually matter who shot JFK? Strange title by Ben Shapiro. If you guys don't know, the JFK files came out. I know, big deal. It was like thousands of pages. I sure as hell didn't read it. But I know some people did. I went in a few Twitter spaces, listened about it. From what I understand, there wasn't a lot of new, smoking gun information. I did cover it briefly in my last episode. But what I did take interest in was Ben Shapiro's recent remarks on the thank you, Carolyn. Well, I hope you check back soon. Anyways, on on his comments, trying to completely not talk about the story. And I know that the article is behind a paywall, but thank God for the Wayback Machine. So we're going to read the article together, everyone. Brace yourselves. Ben Shapiro, why does it matter who shot JFK? Let's read it together, everybody. It's a very short piece. It's like 3 paragraphs. Okay. Much of it has to do with the rapidly declining levels of trust in the American government since the 1960s. Let me guys know in the chat what you think about what Ben says here. We're going to read it together. Also, I have the Atlantic article that is also behind the paywall with the leaks later on in the interview if you want to read it together with me. Once, like I said, thank God for the Wayback Machine. Last week, the Trump administration released tens of thousands of documents regarding the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Speculation about the real explanation for JFK's assassination has been, that rhymed, he's a lyricist, has been an enormous cottage industry for decades. As of November 23, a Gallup poll showed that 65% of Americans believe that people other than Lee Harvey Oswald were involved in the murder. At no point since the assassination have majority of Americans believed the truth that Oswald was a lone gunman. If you look at the details of the case, very hard. I actually sat down and watched a documentary. I'm not like the JFK conspiracy. I love conspiracy theories. This is the one conspiracy theory I actually never got that into. Perhaps it's because it was all that very popular. I did actually sit down and watch a documentary once, and the amount of discrepancies are ridiculous. It's rife with discrepancies, even back then. So it makes sense to me why a lot of people wouldn't believe it. Anyway, let's continue on. Perhaps that's because the idea of a lone gunman achieving such a high-profile assassination on camera in the modern age seems so unthinkable. But of course it isn't. William McKinley was assassinated by a lone gunman in 1901. Teddy Roosevelt was shot in the chest in 1912. In 1993, FDR narrowly escaped assassination when Zangara fired 5 shots at him, killing the mayor of Chicago. Gerald Ford was nearly assassinated twice in a 3-week stretch. John Hinckley Jr. shot Ronald Reagan just a few weeks into Reagan's presidency in 1981. And of course, the most recent, Donald Trump was nearly assassinated. In other words, presidential assassinations are shockingly common. So, why are so many Americans convinced, despite all evidence, that others were involved in the JFK assassination? Much of it has to do with the rapidly declining levels of trust in the American government since the 1960s. And that's true. I will give her that. Also, $5. Thank you so much, JJ. I really appreciate that. You wrote, fun fact, the premiere of Doctor Who was delayed due to the JFK assassination. Is that true? Fun fact, everyone. Thank you, JJ, for that wonderful fact and for the $5. Okay, let's continue. While only 52% of Americans believed in a JFK conspiracy theory in 1963, an idea fostered by legacy media, which claimed that he had been killed by right-wing hate, by 1976, the number had skyrocketed to 81%. That trend correlates with a radical increase in distrust in government generally. In 1964, some 77% of Americans said that they trusted the government to do the right thing, always or most of the time. By 76, that number had dropped to 35%. Now, this is where Ben Shapiro really comes in strong, you guys, so listen up. Now, distrust of the government is perfectly normal and even admirable of American political life dating back to the founding. The founders distrusted the government. We all know the story. Not to abuse the rights of individuals and sought checks and balances. This is when the concept of human rights was coming out as well. Post-Enlightenment. But since the 1960s, American distrust of government has been matched by a massive expansion of governmental intrusion, all of which suggests that our modern distrust of government carries with it a different flavor. A flavor of the conspiratorial. Oh, I forgot my hat. Wait, hold on a second. Okay, Now we can do this appropriately. I am one of those conspiracy theorists, of course. The founders believed that the ambition was common to all men, and that ambition thus had to counteract ambition. Today's Americans instead believe that the problem is that our government is staffed by uniquely bad men. The founders were right. The corruption of government is innately connected to its scope, but today's Americans instead believe that the corruption of government is simply a question of wrong people controlling the government. The problem isn't a government with too much power. I can just hear this in Ben Shapiro's voice. But a government controlled by enemies. Now, undoubtedly, there are awful people in government. Really, Ben? You really think there are awful people in government? No kidding. It's a libertarian show, so as far as we're concerned here on this show, all people in government are bad. Very few exceptions. I just opened a random application. And certainly, there have been conspiracies of such awful people within the government. See, for example, Anthony Fauci led attacks by career staffers who opposed COVID-19 lockdowns. Okay, we have the COVID mention. But if we misattribute broad and endemic problems of government to such conspiracies, despite all available evidence, we miss the point. We must maintain the size and scope of government while hunting shadows and training ourselves to distrust our own eyes in the process. Conspiracies exist. Really, Ben. But they require evidence. Otherwise, they're conspiracy theories. And a country that falls for conspiracy theories without any supporting evidence is a country ripe for the plucking of demagogues on all sides. What do you think Ben Shapiro's talking about here? I just don't know why he had the need to write this article. This is a conspiracy that a lot of people are passionate about. You know, a lot of people were excited to look forward to the leaks, and he just has to come out and be technically right. That's just the Ben Shapiro style. We have $50 in the chat by Elwinger Law. Okay, Elwinger Law, you wrote, hello, this is Jel Elwinger of Elwinger Law. I like this podcast and the X-Files sounds, haha. I represent a potential class of plaintiffs against Nick Fuentes. Wow, okay, I am in Mr. B. Well, Mr. Elwinger, thank you so much for joining the Culturama podcast. Clearly, you know, we're going for that vintage vibe, 1950s aesthetic. And yes, we do have funny sounds on here as well. But yes, your rant went through. Thank you so much for that $50. You're amazing. I hope you subscribe and like the stream. And you know what? That's an interesting that you're doing this potential class of plaintiffs against Nick Fuentes. That's crazy. You know, keep fighting the good fight is all I'm going to say about that. You know, I know you probably can't discuss that link too much in the chat or an interview about that. But I do very much appreciate your work there. And yeah, this is going to be a really good interview. We have 10 more minutes left, you guys. So we're going to get Chris on, and it's going to be big. I'm going to dedicate the hour, 40 minutes or so to the interview, because I know you guys really want to hear it. So we're going to do that. But thank you so much, Sir Jay. Very much appreciated. And I hope you stick around and you watch the other streams if you do end up liking this show here. But yeah, anyways, very, very appreciated. $50. That's like one of my bigger donos here in a while. So that's great. Okay, you guys, Chris Brunet is DMing me, so I might need to go check on him. All right, let me switch over to my front page. Let me see if I can pull up another story before we jump in with him, because we do have 10 minutes, and I don't want to leave you guys with a 10-minute commercial break. Just a quick story here, a quick read before we bring him on. Did you guys know this fact? The vast majority of chewing gums are manufactured using petroleum-based gums. Plastic, microplastics in your gum. Chewing a stick of gum releases hundreds of plastic particles in the mouth, according to a new study. Okay? Oh, wait a second. I had an article here. Here we go. Microplastics in everything. By the way, fellas, get your T's checked. But you didn't hear it from me. Chewing gum releases microplastics into mouth, according to researchers. Let's read this really quickly here to get this out of the way. I was going to save it till the end, but we do have some extra moments here. Chewing gum releases hundreds of tiny plastic pieces straight into people's mouths. The small study comes as researchers have increasingly been finding small shards of plastic called microplastics throughout the world. From the tops of mountains to the bottom of the ocean, and even in the air we breathe. Great. It's in the air. It's in my walls. It's in my skin. I want to tear myself apart. They have also discovered microplastics riddled throughout the human bodies. I literally just said I wanted to tear my skin off. Don't tell me that. Including inside our lungs, blood, and brains. Great. More justification for lobotomy. For lobotomization procedures, which, by the way, we should probably bring back to a small minority of people. Okay, I'm not saying we should do it to every other. Listen, if I lived in the 1950s, here's one thing that people don't know about me is that I do love the aesthetic of the 1950s, and I do appreciate a lot of the values and traditions from the time period. It wasn't all perfect. If I lived back then, I'm not a complete trad wife. First of all, I'm not a wife right now. Second of all, I'm not all trad. That's one thing people don't know about me, and people, say that I'm trad because I dress a certain way. It's a gimmick, you guys. If I lived in the 1950s, I would have been lobotomized, and I know that as a fact. So there are some issues. Lobotomies may be one of them, but I'm really thinking about it. Since I'm on this, we probably should bring it back to some people. Very few people, but some people. Okay, the chat is popping here. She's an Artemisian. That is so true. You're absolutely right. Your name is... I'm like a deer in the headlights with your name, buddy. Scad. I'm going to call you Scad. Scad, I am Artemisian. I write about it quite frequently. At least I think I am. I'm going to be making a test about it maybe someday. I don't know. Are you Artemisian? Are you Aphroditic? Things like that. But that's not to do with this article. The point is with the article, do I have super chats? Did I miss your guys' super chats? I'm sorry. $2 from JJ. Thank you, JJ. Unless you get a legit chicle gum, might be something to acquire. I don't know what that is, JJ. I'm gonna have to be honest with you. Chicle gum? Am I retarded? I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to look that up, JJ. But thank you so much for your donation. $10 from Helping Freedom. You wrote, Helping Freedom, did I miss the dog? For those that don't know I have in your audience here. By the way, you did not miss Leo. I have to put up the Unleash the Beast meter. Hold on. For those that don't know, if you're new here, I do have a donation goal. If I reach $70 in donations, I bring out my dog. He is very dysgenic, highly dysgenic. He's 3 generations inbred, and I like to bring him out if I have the $70 donation goal. So, Helping Freedom, I think we're barely reaching it. So I might have to bring him after the interview. I will not do it during the interview. I'm sorry. I'm not going to haul out my dog during the interview. But after the interview, if we get enough donations, which I'm sure we will. In fact, I think we may have already reached we're close. We're going to reach the $70 mark. And I will bring out Leo after the interview. If you stick around. And it will be very much appreciated if you do. Okay. Inbred like most Groypers, wrote Ali Alexander Groyper. I'll be right back, everyone. I am going to bring in the coveted Chris Brunet, so stay tuned. Have to fix my hair. Oh my goodness, we have $10 from Entropy Nomad. Thank you, Entropy Nomad. Entropy Nomad with the $10. Use bro Unleash the Beast. Thank you, Entropy Nomad. I'm going to have to bring on Leo. Again, that will be held after the interview. So you're going to have to stick around till after the interview. After the interview, I will bring on my dog, okay? So anyways, everyone check out the Culturama shop. You can find that at the ap4libertyshop.com. I'll be putting up the link here in a moment. And on there, if you write Culturama Collection in the search bar, you will find wonderful products like the Culturama pillow. You will find Culturama mugs and Atomic Blonde coffee. Please consider donating a Rumble Rant or joining, if you want something more tangible, the Culturama shop at ap4liberty.com. Once again, that is ap4liberty.com. And you type in Culturama Collection in the search bar. Get yourself some Culturama merchandise. You can even get a body pillow of me if that's something you're interested in. So, I will be right back. I'll be bringing on my guest, and we're going to have a real swell interview. In fact, actually, before I do that, I should probably do my due diligence and tell you guys why I'm bringing Chris on. Chris Brunet, formerly of the Manhattan Institute, I'm kidding, but he has published an article on Substack, and this is his expose on... I have to sign into my Google Drive. Hold on a second. Let me do that in a moment so I can pull up the article. There we go. I love how everything signs me out when I'm streaming. It's awesome. Okay, here's the article. We're going to quickly skim the title here. Like I said, I have to do my due diligence here. Almost missed it. So this is the article that he has put out this morning. Okay, go like it, go read it, comment on it. But this is a Substack. You can find him at carlstack.com, and it's titled Top 50 Nick Fuentes PDF File Scandals. I don't know if I can say that word, and this is, you guys, I've read most of this article, not all of it. It's, as you can tell, my laptop isn't even loading all of it. But you have every single detail here about the Groyper / Nick Fuentes movement. You have Beardson here, you have Alex Jones here, you have Richard Stroker here. Anyway, it's all very interesting. It's just chock full of information, and it's for normies that want to know about the movement or the issues with the movement without having to go to kiwi farms. Because let's be honest, no one wants to go to kiwi farms. There's a lot of drudgery you have to go through to get to kiwi farms, especially. And I support kiwi farms staying up, free speech, but my God, navigating through that website is ridiculous. Anyway. But this is accessible information. If you want to read it, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, I'm going to try to be as objective as possible here. Okay, I'm not gonna say all Groypers are bad, but I do want to give Christopher Brunet here a fair shot. He wrote this article. He put a lot of work, time, and effort into it. He did a lot of research. It's like a 2-hour read, by the way, I think is what Substack said. So. And the commercial break, go check it out. Go to Carl Stack, subscribe to him. I'll be right back. I'll be pulling him up here. So stay tuned, everyone.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty's throng. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway. In the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The Reds are going down.
With a flagpole planted firm,
golden dreams that won't decay,
marching proudly through the day.
In the eagle's shadow by
we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains all, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive, in the light of freedom's guide. We got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
Well, here comes Anita like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben and Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling, because if you're tired of the same old news, then I've got just the wake-up call for you. I want to thank you for tuning in to Culturama, and I know that you're enjoying every minute of it. Join us at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. The Wake Up America show is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Radioactive Exclusion Zone. I have here with me Chris Brunet, the very own. How are you doing, Chris, today?
I'm good. I'm very excited. It's my first ever live stream right now, so I'm excited to practice public speaking, and I'm excited to promote my article because I've spent 2 or 3 or 4 months writing it. So after all that writing, now I have to spend the next couple days doing podcasts and promoting it.
Absolutely, and it's definitely worth the promotion because I showed the article right before the commercial break here for our viewers, and my God, it is so lengthy. You put in so much research, and I want to applaud you for doing this because, like I said to my viewers, even though this information's sort of out there, but you have to go through Kiwi Farms, these other forums, and word of mouth to even know about it, and it's ridiculous. And it's important for normies to know about this because this is a dangerous web of actors here, and I want to talk to you about this. But first and foremost, I just want to ask you, what really led you to write this article? I know you put in a lot of time and effort, so tell us your story. What inspired you to do it?
Sure. Well, if we're going all the way back to my origins on Substack, I began writing about academic scandals. So economics and data fraud and plagiarism. And plagiarism was my big story where I caught the president of Harvard engaging in plagiarism, and then she stepped down. And then at that point, I kind of started drifting to the right, and then I drifted into the open arms of the Groypers. And because on the surface, they have populist politics, conservative politics. It's appealing their politics. Me and Nick Fuentes agree on most political issues, I would say. But then if you actually spend time hanging out with them and getting to know the main players in that movement, you kind of quickly realize that everybody in that movement is a gay sex predator. And that's kind of the whole point of the movement. It's not, there is no real politics. It's really just a bunch of perverts hanging out with each other, trying to get attention and trying to troll. And so to me, this is, they're subverting the conservative movement. They're fooling young conservative men. Almost everyone is a man. Sometimes there's a female Groyper, but they're fooling a generation of young conservative men into into being groomed for a machine that grooms young men for older gay men to have sex with. And it's very sad. And as you said, all the pieces of the story are all over the internet. There's strands on Kiwi Farms, there's strands over here, there's strands on Twitter, there's strands on YouTube. And so it took me a couple months just to synthesize everything into a coherent narrative where everything's all in one place. I had a big debate with myself because I thought I was going to put this article out in 5 or 6 pieces, as an investigative series, right? That would make it much more readable.
Yeah.
But I wanted everything in one place, one self-contained resource so that people can share this article. And it's all in one place. So if there is an impressionable teenager who's getting down the cult rabbit hole, then somebody can send him this article and he can realize all the same things I can realize without having to meet all the predators himself.
Yeah, no, like I said, very important information, especially for what people will call the normies out there. It has to be easily digestible, even though it's lengthy. It's very understandable, easy to read, and it's important information to put out there. Like you said, if someone's even considering being a part of the movement. And I just want to reiterate this and to my viewers here, because I'm sure I have Groypers watching as well, but it isn't just specific to the Groyper movement. I've seen this happen in a lot of I've worked in politics for 10 years. I've seen this happen in, I'm going to be honest, or similar to this in turning point events and others. And the sexual degeneracy is quite rampant in political movements. And, but what's particularly interesting about the Nick Fuentes Groyper movement is that it is so popular with right-wing men right now. And but I wanted to ask you, do you think it's the and perhaps you don't have I'm assuming you have enough political acumen to answer this question, but if you don't, that's fine. But do you think that perhaps the amount of male sexual degeneracy or homosexuality, you could say it, is so common in this Groyper movement, and I know you listed a lot of, not a lot of, but I think there was like one story of a young girl that was affected, which was sad. I read that one initially, but with the Ali situation happening, do you think it's like necessarily unique with the Groyper movement, or do you think that being involved with underage people like this happens quite frequently in politics, especially with young men?
I would say it's pervasive within the Republican Party and the Democrat Party.
Okay.
And maybe the Libertarian Party. I don't know. But the worst of the worst is the Groypers. That's kind of like where they all gravitate to, because the top Groypers put out like the shocking pedophile content or gore or incest or child pornography animation. And like it drives away the normal people, and so the only people that end up being left over in the Groypers are the people who self-select into being okay with gore, being okay with pedophilia, being okay with bestiality. Like if we're talking, in my article, I mentioned how Keith Woods mentioned that Nick Fuentes could be a federal asset, and then last week or 2 weeks ago, Keith Woods had his sex worker girl leaked their text, and the text showed that even that sex worker who was engaged in the Groyper movement for like a week, she told Keith Wood, she was like, there's too much bestiality, there's too much pedophilia, I can't stand it here. So it's like it's too degenerate for a degenerate sex worker.
Yeah, it's crazy. In the bestiality angle is just like, it's ridiculous. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Fed allegations. I know you've covered quite a bit of it in the article, and I don't want to go over every detailed article. Obviously, I'm trying to incentivize people to go and read it, but I do want to cover some things. And I've said this previously. I've said this like over a year ago. A lot of people have said it, but like there is a suspicion that whether or not Nick Fuentes himself is a federal asset, or there's obviously people infiltrating the movement and making it sort of like this, I wouldn't say, maybe it's a honeypot, you could say that, or it's just, but it's rife with intelligence in there. Do you have any, I mean, obviously you have opinions on it, but could you elaborate a little bit on that, just so young people that do want to get involved, especially if they lean more right wing or could be classified as radical, what they should look for if they want to join this movement?
Right. So the thing that happens to young men who join the Groyper movement is that they end up becoming broke and unemployed or depressed or divorced, or so they ruin their lives. And then a lot of the times they're like trapped or baited into ruining their lives by senior Groypers who have affiliations with intelligence. And so in my article, I walk through like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 Groypers, top Groypers, who are either compromised or like explicitly federal informants. That's kind of just what the movement is at its core. And that's like, technically, if you call somebody, like some of the people in the article, there's court documents that say, oh, they're an informant. Here is like when they flip, like here's the deal they made. And so I can't say Nick is a federal informant because that's a very conclusive statement. But in the article, I believe this is the strongest case that's ever been written to make that argument. And I say, here's my argument. This is why I think that. And it boils down to January 6th. January 6th was like Nick Fuentes was one of the organizers. Ali Alexander was one of the organizers. They stood on the Capitol steps as January 6th was happening, and they got like Groypers to go, and they said, go into the building, disregard police. And it's a very simple argument because everyone else who did what Nick Fuentes did, like in the article I list, like the Proud Boys guy, like this guy, everyone who said go into the building was charged with felonies, like felony conspiracy charges. And Nick was charged with
oh, whoops, he's freezing there for a second. Hold on a second.
Nothing. And so it does on low network bandwidth.
Are you good there, Chris? Is your connection good?
Oh.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Maybe we may. Are you there? Okay. Okay, you're back. We can't hear you. Your mic may be off. There we go. There we go.
Okay. How about now?
Much better.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm in Airbnb right now, so I have Airbnb Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope you're enjoying yourself.
Well, part of the reason that I'm kind of angry at Tyler Russell, who is one of the main figures in the article, is because he is a Canadian Groyper who overstayed his visa in the U.S. allegedly, technically. Like he admitted it, and he did overstay his visa. It's possible since he overstayed his visa that Nick employed him somehow, like with a visa, but I don't think he would have done that. It's very hard to employ a Canadian on a streaming show.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, my point is that he's been staying in the U.S. illegally for at least a year or two, 3 years now. And I kind of resent that because I am an Airbnb in the U.S. legally, and my visa is going to end, and I want a visa. And Tyler is just flouting the rules. And so in my article, I issue a call to action. I say, here's a link to report Tyler Russell to ICE, and let's get him deported. Right. And Nick Fuentes is actually liable for hiding an illegal Canadian immigrant in his basement. So it's kind of crazy that he hasn't been raided yet. I think they honestly should be raided.
Yeah, especially if it's here illegally. Absolutely. Our guy is in office, so it's probably best that we do that. But wild stuff. And of course, like you just mentioned, the movement is, again, it's not just specific to this movement. A lot of movements, it's rife with hypocrisy, but this one is just so glaringly obvious because people like Nick or Nick himself make these really strong statements, right? And he does pose himself as an extremist, but it's hard to do that and then not be held accountable to some of the wrongdoing that he's doing himself, which leads me to my next point. And I've noticed this, and you could perhaps speak at length about this, but the way that the Groyper movement sort of operates, and you have made a very salient point to say that people, young men especially, that get into this movement, they don't come out unfazed. I've seen it happen myself with people that I even know that get involved with this, and then they literally disintegrate metaphysically, spiritually, emotionally. They look disheveled, and it's really sad to see how much this can change a person. And then all as far as they're aware, they're politically burned. And a lot of these are young men that want to get into politics, want to make a living for themselves, and then it turns out being even associated with Nick Fuentes. And in some cases it's unfortunate because a lot of these are young men that don't really know any different, and then they get involved. And they're politically burned, they're professionally burned, and there's nothing they can do but rely on the movement. And I wanted to ask you this aspect of it because a lot of these people that do surround Nick or orbit Nick, that don't want to leave his inner orbit or his circle, it sort of operates like a cult. In a way, would you say that it operates like a cult? Or would you say a lot of these people are just acting out of survival because they really have no other options?
I would say people are drawn to the movement because they have populist, conservative, paleocon, whatever you want to call it, politics, far-right politics. And so they're drawn to it because Nick is charismatic and smart, and he's good at talking about geopolitics or whatever. But then they stay around a little bit longer, and they realize that geopolitics is not really what the show is about. The show is about the cult of Nick Fuentes. And so in my article, there are clips of him saying yes, it's a cult, ironic cult. It's a gay cult. It's a cult that doxes people. And so I spent several of my points, out of the 50 points, I spent several of them talking about how it's a cult. And I don't think that's even in dispute, really, because Nick admits it. I lay it out that's just what it is. It's a cult of personality, and many of them have gay crushes on the leader. They're in love with the leader. They offer the leader their firstborn child. They offer his lieutenants their children. If you go through the clinical checklists of a cult, it doesn't hit all of them, but it hits almost every single one of them. And it's very sad just to see people get sucked into the cult and then get groomed by the cult and then get chewed up and spit out by the cult.
Yeah, no, it's very sad. And I also wanted to touch on the Ali situation. Now, if you could I know perhaps a lot of people that are watching are familiar about the Ali. We've thrown his name out, so we haven't really explained what happened. I would say the Ali Alexander case is, I know there's a lot of rumors, but that is the most tangible case to relate the Groyper movement with pedophilia, or just sexual misconduct is perhaps a better way to say it. But could you summarize the whole situation for the viewers that are perhaps unaware of this?
Sure. Well, Ali Alexander, born Ali Abdul Razak Akbar, is a serial predator who, for the past 8 years, has been Nick Fuentes' closest friend, colleague, and confidant. And so he's been hanging around the Groypers ever since Charlottesville, which is when people suspect Nick was compromised by him for the first time. Because at Charlottesville, Ali was kind of like offering young conservative twinks a future in media if they'll sleep with him. And so people think that Nick took him up on that, but that can't be confirmed. And so Ali Alexander, he has been kind of a heavy hitter in Republican politics since 2009. He started working for the Tea Party. 2010, he worked for PAC. 2011, 12, 13, 14, he worked for the Republican Party. And so, so after working for the Republican Party for a decade, he met up with Nick Fuentes and then spent 5 or 6 or 7 years just dedicated to Nick Fuentes and hanging out with Nick Fuentes and cultivating a network of young, autistic, gay twinks that revolve around Ali Alexander and Nick Fuentes. And so in my article, I walked through how Nick Fuentes is highly aware of the fact that Ali Alexander, for years, and everybody knows this, and I give examples of it, he aggressively hits on 15-year-old boys, 16-year-old boys, 17-year-old boys, 18-year-old boys. That's his thing. He has a kink for Christian boys, and he uses his power to manipulate them into sexual favors. And it's very sad. He offers them internships on the Kanye West campaign. He offers them internships at InfoWars. He offers them internships with Milo. He offers, and when he offers them, he explicitly says oh, by the way, you need to blow me. Or by the way, you need to fly out and do chores for me. Multiple times he says to 17-year-old boys, oh, you can live with me, but you have to do chores. And so I have so many examples of Ali Alexander hitting on teenage boys where it's just undeniable at this point. And Nick has known the entire time. And while he knew who Ali Alexander was, he brought him into the inner circle, befriended him, hung out with him for years, gave him a platform and access to unlimited middle school boys and high school boys and college boys and access to celebrities. And it's a total scandal that Ali Alexander's not already in jail. I think he is a danger to society. In my article, he hits on 12-year-old boys multiple times. He hits on 12-year-old boys multiple times that I found that I didn't even write in the article. That's his whole thing, hitting on 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds. And so I spoke to the police because Ali Alexander has been under investigation in Colorado since it came out in a few years ago in the Daily Beast. The Daily Beast put out a piece where they say, look, here's Ali Alexander hitting on a 15-year-old. And so the police started looking into it. And so the police in Colorado looked into it. Then the police in Texas looked into it. Then another rape victim came forward and he reported it to the police in Louisiana. But I haven't been able to verify that they're actually investigating. It it was reported to Louisiana, but I haven't been able to confirm they are actively investigating still. But police are still actively investigating in both Colorado and Texas. And so, if you're watching this and you're like a 17-year-old Groyper who Ali Alexander tried to hit on at one point, please contact the police. They're looking for people to come forward and contact them so that they can build their case.
Oh, thank you for that. And yeah, when the Ali situation was coming out in real time, I was following it. Absolutely heartbreaking to hear the stories about it. And then Nick Fuentes still continued to align himself with Ali instead of completely, rooting him out of his movement, which just goes to show, at least in my opinion, that just how unseriously he takes these, these allegations, and how unseriously he takes his movement, which is quite unfortunate. But besides Ali, which I would say is perhaps one of the more egregious cases, removed from that, throughout the duration of your researching and writing this article, what is another, perhaps the second most egregious case, or which individual is just as a teaser, one of the most egregious examples of Groyper, perhaps you could say, that really upset you or pissed you off in writing this article?
Well, the low-hanging fruit would be to say Latino Zoomer. And most of your viewers probably don't know Latino Zoomer, but anyone who knows Groypers knows Latino Zoomer. He was an 18-year-old kid who went to jail for threatening to shoot up the rival conference of the Groypers. And when he was arrested, he got caught with child porn. And so he's in jail now. But he's not my answer. My real answer is number 4 on the list, would be Andy Palas.
Okay.
And I fucking hate Andy Palas. This guy makes my skin crawl. And he constantly talks about, like, making love to children, child porn, watching child porn, raping children, like being attracted to 14-year-olds. I'm like being attracted to 2-year-olds. And then he DMs me threats on Twitter. He DMs me threats on Instagram. And everything I wrote about him is just screenshots of what he said. I did not editorialize very much. Like, my whole Andy Palas section is just screenshots of him hitting on children or talking about raping children. And Nick keeps him around. Like, that's Nick's boy. They hang out in real life. He goes to AFPAC. He threatened to rape a woman's child at AFPAC, and then he still went. And yeah, he's just number 4 on my list. He triggers me.
No, that's awful. And also, I was surprised to see in your article you mentioned like actual legitimate political figures attend AFPAC. Like, for instance, Mark Ivanyo from RNR, or Republicans for National Renewal. I'm glad that you mentioned that. So, AFPAC, it is, I suppose, growing in its influence. So that's another reason why it's very important to bring this article out and put it out, so people that, like I said, perhaps, unbeknownst to them, what's actually going on behind the curtain, they would know beforehand, or at least can be careful. But anyways, just another question. There's a couple more questions here, because we are running close to the time limit. But I did also want to ask you, for young men that do want to, and young women, I guess, to an extent as well, that do want to get involved in politics, particularly right-wing politics, because I understand that, especially for young men, maybe they're a little bit more radical, and they get involved in politics. And this is like the straight up pipeline that goes into the Groyper movement when they get into conservative politics. And so, what can young men and young women do to be careful, or to be like hypervigilant about some of the signs or potential dangers or pitfalls? And I understand, you could say, like, don't get involved in the Groyper movement. I would very much say that, especially if you want to be taken seriously politically down the line. But just as like general examples, what would you say should young men be aware of getting into conservative politics so they won't be taken advantage of like this?
A huge part of conservative politics, not even Groypers, like Republicans, even the alt-right, the far right, it's just gay men. That's just what it is. Republican, politics is very gay. People who professionally work in politics are gay. They're all sleeping with each other. And it's very disgusting. Politics in general is disgusting. And so just go into it with open eyes. Like, if you're going to AFPAC or you're going to CPAC or you're going to TP USA conferences, any of those conferences, doesn't matter. There is going to be older gay men hitting on younger queens or younger men who want to advance in their careers, and the older men know that, and they hang it over their heads. And so what I want people to do is read this article and be aware of the dangers that are in conservative politics. And you asked me for advice on what young men should do instead of joining the Groypers. And a lot of men join the Groypers because they're lonely. They don't have a family. They don't have community. They don't have fraternity. They don't have friends. Like Dalton Clodfelter, for example, he's number 20 on my list. Before joining the Groypers, he was a Freemason, and he was in Identity Europa, and he's just gone through so many different clubs, and it's just he's looking for a club that wants to be his friend and he can build a community with, but they're all just kind of gay honeypots, unfortunately. And
Absolutely.
So what I would say is start a family and go to church, and if you need a club, join the Knights of Columbus.
Yes, and just get a girlfriend if you're a guy. I know it's not easy these days, but really, I would say good point in going to church and going to these community centers close to home, which are important. And I could certainly attest to the fact, as someone that did also do politics in my early 20s, even as a teenager, and it is very. As just a young person in general, you guys, you will be taken advantage of one way or the other, whether, it's politically or sexually or, professionally. You have to really be vigilant, and so, and also I'm glad you mentioned the different clubs that with the Dalton example, because this is also true. And a lot of these clubs, a lot of these organizations, or even just, groups, they, like Identity Europa, for instance, it just simply radioactive, but I can understand how Dalton is probably just looking for, what's the word I'm looking for? Just looking for camaraderie with a certain group. And even though it may come out of good intentions, you want camaraderie, but at the end of the day, you can fall into these pitfalls where they can still end up making you nuclear down the line. And that's something to really consider, especially if someone wants to retain their professional legitimacy. So I'm really thankful that you wrote this article and you brought the attention to this. And I also want to reiterate this to the people that are watching today, is that the Groyper movement, it is really obvious as well. I'm sure you spent hours researching for this, but and also as someone that has frequented, I've been to Turning Point events, I'm aware of the people in all these circles. A lot of what you mentioned, I knew just through word of mouth, because I'm just I know people in every aspect of right-wing politics, but a lot of people don't know this, is that when you do find out about these things, it's it's really overt with the Groyper movement. But Turning Point, for instance, the largest institutional, conservative conglomerate, I'm glad you mentioned it. Even at Turning Point events, it's pretty much known that this happens as well. So for those young people that want to get involved in conservative...
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry?
I interrupted your conclusion.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. I was just going to say, please beware if you are young, even at Turning Point events, even in those major institutional right-wing, organizations, because this kind of stuff happens there too. But as far as the Groyper movement is concerned, thank you so much, Chris, for your article. People can find you on Twitter, on Substack. I will be putting that up after our interview. But is there anywhere else people can find you or follow you?
Well, right after this interview at 10 p.m., so in 25 minutes from now, I'm hosting a debate on Twitter. And I don't know if anyone's going to show up, but if they do, I'll talk about whatever anyone wants to talk about. the Groypers who I mentioned specifically.
There you go.
And then
There you
tomorrow, I am doing. I'm thinking about doing a stream on Substack because Substack just implemented streaming for the first
Yes.
time, right?
Yep, they did.
And so, subscribe to my Substack, Carl Stack, just Carl Stack.
There you go, Carl Stack. I'll be putting that up afterwards. Thank you so much, Chris. I'm going to go, everyone, I'm going to go on a quick commercial break. Stay tuned. And maybe shortly afterwards, you can go to that Twitter space that Chris was talking about for that debate. If you guys are hot and heavy, wanting to talk to him about this stuff. Thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Sure.
Well, here comes Anita like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah. Who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hayford doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling, because if you're tired of the same old news, then I've got just the wake-up call for you. I want to thank you for tuning in to Culturama, and I know that you're enjoying every minute of it. Join us at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. The Wake Up America show is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day. Coffee's optional, but waking up is mandatory. Remember, at Wake Up America, we'll keep you sharp, we'll keep you laughing, most of all, we'll keep you free. I'll see you in the morning.
What What a wonderful interview that was. Thank you, everyone that has joined. I need to do something special for you guys. Are you guys ready for this? This is going to be really big. It's something I've never done before, and I am going to do it right now for you. I'm going to read my very first Rumble campaign. Are you guys ready? Prepare yourselves for this. Let's go. And afterwards, I'm going to be showing you Chris Brunet's article and his Twitter account. So let's do it. Okay, accept and start. Everyone, this is 1775 coffee. Weak coffee is for the weak. And at Rumble, weak has never been... Hold on. Okay, there we go. Did I just do it? Oh my gosh, did I not do it correct? Damn it, I didn't do it correctly. This is what I mean. Let me see if I can read another campaign ad. Hold on. Can't do it. Can't do it, you guys. I gotta do one in 20 minutes. Well, this is why we practice, everyone. This is why we practice. Since I launched Rumble, my Rumble account, I've never done an ad read. And I tried to do 1775 coffee, and I couldn't do it. That's rough. It's rough. It's over. It's over. Okay, you guys, bring me on live now, writes Killstream. Welcome, Killstream. I can't bring you on live. I'm so sorry. I cannot bring on Ralph. I will not do it. He's going to have to schedule. He's going to have to schedule an interview with me. But I don't do lives like that. I'm ready. Okay, let's see here. What a wonderful viewership. Everybody, let me show you the Carl stack. Chris's Substack here. Hold on a second. Where is it? Okay, do you see that behind me? Yes, you do. This is the article, Top 50 Nick Fuentes Pedophile Scandals. There it is, written by Christopher Brunet right here. You can find him under Carl Stack. And this is his account. It's a free article, by the way, and just look at the amount of detail he's put in.
Send $3. AF isn't a cult. Also, don't tell your parents about what we're doing and what you believe. Stay secretive and in with the group. XD Good Show, Nico 7.
I never said it. I've always said it's a cult. I don't think I've ever said it's not a cult. People are like, it's a cult. I'm like, okay, and this is a coat, and this is a cup, and this is a pumpkin, and this is a table.
There you go.
It's a cult. Yeah, and what about it? So what? Yeah, it's a cult of personality. Were you under some other impression? I thought it was some kind of team building thing. What do you think this is, anyhow? All right, of course this is a cult.
I mean, God bless him for being honest. Good for him. Anyways, there is a lot of stuff you guys can read here, and it's like a 2-hour read. There's a lot to cover, but anyways, top 50 Nick Fuentes pedophile scandals right there. Also, if you want to follow Chris Brunet on Twitter, there he is, at Chris Brunet, at The Real Chris Brunet. Interesting guy, posts a lot, and there you go. That's something that you guys can follow. I see a lot of people writing about my dog in the chat. So I will bring him out. I know that you guys paid for him, so I will bring him out in a moment here. She made $70. Where's that dog? I'll bring that dog. Let's see here. Killstream, they let this bitch read ads. Yes, they do. I'm surprised myself, but I'm too retarded to even read one live on stream. I'll just do it next time. So, yes, my dog, Ralph. Ralph Killstream is Ralph, right? Am I completely... She can't handle the Ralpha male. I can't handle the Ralpha male. Having Ralph on would certainly be something. Anyways, I know you guys paid for my dog, so I'm going to have to bring on my dog. This is a part where my viewership plummets. So if that's something that you guys want to see, if you really want to see I almost said something else. My dysgenic canine, I will bring him on. You guys can laugh at him. Bring out your goddamn dog. Everyone wants to see the dog. Are you guys sure? Everyone wants to see the dog. My dog is a real Ralpha male. alpha male here. Let me see where we get the... But you guys paid for it. You're gonna get him. We're gonna get Leo out here. I'm gonna unleash the beast, everyone. You guys paid for him. He is in the Leo cage, so I'm gonna be bringing him out. Everyone, stay tuned. And hold on to yourselves. We will be right back. I will bring on my dog. You paid for him. Give me a moment, and I will bring him on. Let me turn off this. There you go.
Times are changing, feel the buzzing, staying true when they're fussing. Keep the flag a-flying through stormy nights. With the star-spangled banner, I stand tall with manners. Cross my heart with hope in sight. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and prairie with liberty. Stick to values in the trends. Families gather, let's defend. Hold the line, keep the bond alive. Truth in our vision, in God we make decisions. For our dream, true, thrive and strive. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and prairie with liberty. We'll keep fighting for what's right, standing strong in the night. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and bravery with liberty. Monster kill.
Everyone, you paid for it. You got it. Here he is. The chunk is... Oh, Leo. There you go. He's in a scorpion outfit, everyone. It's very special today because it's a special episode. We have Leo here in a scorpion outfit with the tail. Don't mess with Leo. Everyone give it up for Leo. Here he is. Let me take his hat off. There you go, buddy. So this is a Halloween costume. There he is. Leo, unleash the beast.
Oh, my little chihuahua, you run so fast.
It's a scorpion.
With your goofy little bark, always having a blast. When you dance on your paws like you're on a string.
You can see the tail and everything right here.
Oh, what joy you bring me, my tiny furry friend. You light up my day in your 1950 style. Let's dance and play.
What wonderful, Leo. Everyone is loving you in there. Love us some Leo. Hello, welcome, Nelson65. Very good to see you. Guys, be nice. Row House, it's not a nice stream today. Okay, everyone, this is my dog. For those that are new here, people, if people pay up to $70, I release my dog. I unleash the beast. He's released from his cave or his cage, and he is 3 generations inbred. He has extra toes. He's missing teeth. He has a lot of, you could say, genetic abnormalities, and he is quite the problem. But he also has a heart of gold, and so I like to bring him on, and he will read the rest of the news stories we have on today. For those that decide to stay with the Culturama stream, but this is my dog, and you guys paid for him. You still keep paying for him, and I'm gonna keep bringing him on as long as you decide to pay for him. So thank you, guys, that did donate to see him. He truly is a freak of nature, a miracle of nature, and so welcome Leo to the stream. He has been released. If he's sick, then okay still. But yes, he's very sick. He's very sick, but he's very lovable. And for those that can see, he's wearing a scorpion ensemble for all the Groypers out there. The scorpion and the frog, you could say it's a nice reference to. I'll be the frog, he'll be the scorpion. So there you go. And I also like to ask him, we'll do a little ASMR. So Leo, I want to ask your opinions on the story that we had today. Do you think that Nick Fuentes is a federal asset or not? Tell us your opinion. Very good. Thank you so much, Leo. Anyways, guys, like I said, he will remain with us for the remainder of the stream here. I have a couple more stories here for you all. But what a wonderful interview that was, wasn't it? Very interesting. And I do want to reiterate for the topics that we've covered, it is rampant in, I can't say that word. English is not my first language. It is rampant in the Groyper movement, yes. But I just want to reiterate, it's not just Groypers. It's in Turning Point. And in the Republican Party at large. Okay? The sexual misconduct, the many issues that occurs with younger people is quite obvious. And I've attended Turning Point events, and I'm not going to say like factually what's going on, what isn't going on in there, but what I will say is that, behave yourself. What I will say is that it's pretty much known that stuff happens. The underage sleeping around, it's one major bacchanalia, and it's very important that when parents send out their kids to Turning Point events, they are aware of the misconduct that is going on there. And that's all I'm going to say. Okay, so it's not just Groypers. It happens a lot in politics. And I don't know anything about left-wing politics, although from my understanding of BreadTube, it's just as bad in a weirder way. But as well, as far as right-wing politics is concerned, there is a lot of... there's just a lot of degeneracy that happens there. And the homosexuality, the gay activity is also quite common. And it's very unfortunate. It's just something to be aware. It's something to be aware. And, if I had a kid... I wouldn't be comfortable sending them to a Turning Point event until past a particular age. In the teenage years, I'm glad I didn't go as a young girl. And I don't think a lot of young girls should go, but now it seems like I used to be of the opinion that young girls should most young girls should stay away from politics until a certain age, or until, they're in a good relationship, or they have a positive relationship with their father, which doesn't happen all that much these days, right? But because, politics with young women, it can be very dicey. But now, after reading Chris's article, it's the same thing with young men. And I wasn't aware how much gay stuff I wasn't aware, as a woman, I don't really listen to that kind of stuff. But as someone that has history working in politics, history working with nonprofits, I can tell you that homosexual activity is, at least with men, I don't know anything about homosexuality with women in politics. I'm sure that's hot too. But homosexuality in politics is crazy. It does happen. And after reading Chris's article, it sort of, I think, really confirms that. You know, I worked in the nonprofit sector in politics, and let me just tell you, it's crazy out there. Anyways, what about those Trump leaks, you guys? Do I have my articles pulled up there? Oh, let's see here. We have the Atlanta article. Thank God for the Wayback Machine, because I wasn't going to pay for that article, that Atlantic article. But let's jump right into it, shall we, you guys? In the story here, Leah will read it with us. Oh, I hope I didn't miss any donations. Sorry, you guys. Oh my goodness. Since I missed my ad read, I'm just gonna do this here with you before we jump into this article, everybody. Because I'm retarded. Sometimes. AP4liberty.com. Shop.com. There we go. Okay, everyone, if you go to the AP4libertyshop.com, once again, that is the AP4libertyshop.com. There's the URL, there's the title, or the 4libertyshop.com, and you type in the search bar here, Culturama Collection. Okay, you will find wonderful products here. You can find a wonderful Culturama pillow, a sweatshirt. What else we got? And of course, we have most of all the Atomic Blonde coffee. Here it is. You can make a one-time purchase, or you can make a purchase every few months. Here, it's delicious. It's delicious hot. It's delicious over ice. Good for any season. Yes, Leo. Yes, even Leo drinks it. I'm kidding. He would die if he drank coffee, but I drink it all the time. And I'm enjoying it here in my Culturama mug here. So if this is something that you guys are interested in to support the show, please go ahead and join the AP or watch the AP 4libertyshop.com link, and you will see a coffee there. And also, if you want to buy a product, there is a chance to get a discount right away. You just press the spin to win option on the bottom left, and you can spin it and win up to 20% off your purchase. So that is also something to consider. Anyways, Trump and intelligence chiefs played down Signal group chat leak. The Signal group chat leaks have occurred, everyone. A lot of people have been saying that this is looking pretty bad for the administration because it looks sort of inept. I think the people in those group chats came off looking based, especially JD Vance. That's what everyone has been saying, at least. But let's watch this video to give us a brief synopsis of what we are after this advertisement, of course. There we go. So, but as it was happening, I was a bit appalled that it had happened, and but everyone's been saying that, at least as far, some people have come out with the opinion this could be a stunt, and I don't know if that's necessarily true. It very well could be true, but I think they sort of just they kind of screwed up here. So here we go. Let's listen.
Accidentally texted classified military information. It's quite an extraordinary story. Security experts are saying this is reckless handling of classified information.
If you look at the story in theatlantic.com, you'll see that
Jeffrey Goldberg,
including the Vice President of the United States,
about
the utility of attacking Yemen and the European component.
Jeffrey Goldberg. Security, that's the guy that wrote the article, right?
I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive material.
I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time.
They're going to track that down and make sure that it doesn't happen again. What you did see, though, I think, was top-level officials doing their job, doing it well.
They didn't look bad. I mean, all things considered, it didn't look bad in the chats, which I can understand why people are saying maybe this is a stunt because it makes them look a certain way. I really think JD Vance just talks that way, but I don't know. They didn't look bad. There was no there was no particular memes that were shared that would be considered a bit inappropriate. But anyways.
I asked the leader Thune and my Republican colleagues work with.
But still, I will still say this. Why are they chatting on a Signal chat? Like, there must be some other platform that only government officials use. I know this is the case. I know it's the case with local government here where I live. I don't know how it's like in other states, but surely the federal government must have a certain platform. So, I do like to be fair. If this happened under a Democrat president, I would be very harsh on them. So I want to be fair. The joke's on them for using a platform like Signal to do this on. It does come off as a little inept to me. And so I just want to be honest about it. It wasn't a good move on their part to do so. But hopefully moving forward, they can rectify their decisions and perhaps use a safer platform to share information, sensitive information on.
Democrats right away to hold a full investigation.
Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
This was a huge mistake. Correct.
No, it's like the meme. No.
This is utterly unprofessional. Looking into and reviewing how.
Oh my goodness, and I also see $20. $20 from Row House. Thank you so much, Row House. It is very much appreciated. You wrote, Daniela, your thoughts on this tweet and why it's true. Can you do the short version? I will look that up, Row House, in a second here. Oh, yes, the Veronica tweet. Okay, Row House, I will cover this. Let me first read this Atlantic article, and I will get to your tweet here. But I have it right here, Row House. I will cover that in a second. I do have the Atlantic article on the Wayback Machine. I know it's behind a paywall, but I'll read it with you guys here because, screw journalists and screw this Jeffrey Goldberg person. So let's read this article together with my dysgenic creature next to me. Some may say he's offensive against nature. I think he just ensures us that nature is a miracle. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. We may not read the whole article, but I'll just skim it here with you guys together. U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real. The bombs started falling. Let's go. Okay, the world found out shortly before 2 p.m. on March 15th that the United States was bombing Houthi targets across Yemen. I, however, knew 2 hours before the first bombs exploded that the attack might be coming. The reason I knew this is that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, had texted me the war plan at 11:44 a.m. He's got the timestamps and everything. Will we ever find out who added this guy to the group chat, though? This Jeffrey Goldberg person? The plan included precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timing. This is going to require some explaining. Okay, that's why we're here. The story technically begins shortly after the Hamas invasion on southern Israel. We all know about it. We don't have to reiterate it. This is where... Okay, hold on. The Houthis, an Iran-backed terrorist organization whose motto is God is great, death to America, death to Israel, soon launched attacks on Israel. Throughout 2024, the Biden administration was ineffective in countering these Houthi attacks. The incoming Trump administration promised a tougher response. This is where Pete Hegseth and I come in. Tuesday, March 11th, I received a connection request on Signal from a user identified as Michael Waltz. The Signal is an open source encrypted messaging service popular with journalists and others who seek more privacy than other text messaging services are capable of delivering. I assumed that Michael I understand the source open source encrypted messaging. I understand that Signal could be more safe than other messaging platforms, understandably so. I get why they use that, but this is information that could compromise our national security. So I would still be concerned using a platform that just general audiences can use. I don't know about that. I assume that the Michael Waltz in question was President Donald Trump's national security advisor. I did not assume, however, that the request was from the actual Michael Waltz. Okay, I met him in the past, and though I didn't find it particularly strange that he might be reaching out to me, I did think it was somewhat unusual, given the Trump admin's contentious relationship with journalists. I wonder why they have a contentious relationship with journalists. Maybe it's because they do things like this. I accepted the connection request. Of course you would. Jeffrey, you don't have to explain that. Hoping that this was an actual national security advisor and that he wanted to chat about Ukraine or Iran. 2 days later on Thursday, I received a notice that I was to be included in a Signal chat group. It was called the Houthi PC Small Group. A message from the group from Michael Waltz read as follows, quote, team establishing a principals group for coordination on Houthis, particularly for over the next 72 hours. My deputy, Alex Wong, is pulling together a tiger team of deputies and agency chief of staff level following up from the meeting in the sit room this morning for action items, and we'll be sending out that later this evening. Literally no comma in there. These people know how to write messages. The message continued, please provide the best staff POC from your team for us to coordinate over the next couple days and over the weekend. Thanks. The term Principals Committee generally refers to a group of senior-most national security officials, including the Secretaries of Defense, State, and the Treasury, as well as the Director of the CIA. It should go without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Very funny, Jeffrey. I like your style. That I have never been invited to a White House Principals Committee meeting. 1 minute later, a person identified only as MAR, the Secretary of State as Marco Antonio Rubio, wrote, quote, Mike Needham for State, apparently designating the current counselor of the State Department as his representative. Leo, relax. At that moment, the Signal user identified as JD Vance wrote, Andy Baker for VP. 1 minute after that, TG, presumably Tulsi Gabbard. Joe Kent, hey, Washington representation here, for DNI. 9 minutes later, Scott B., apparently Treasury Secretary Scott Bessette, or someone spoofing his identity, wrote Dan Katz for Treasury. Well, it's good to know our government officials have a sense of humor, right? Okay. That was the end of the Tuesday text chain. So far, boring, nothing crazy. After receiving the Waltz related After receiving the Waltz text related to the Houthi PC small group, I consulted a number of colleagues. We discussed a possibility that these texts were part of a disinformation campaign initiated by either a foreign intelligence service or, more likely, a media gadfly organization. The sort of group that attempts to place journalists in embarrassing positions. Okay, the next day, things got even stranger. At 8:05 a.m. on Friday, Mike Waltz texted the group, quote, Team, you should have a statement of conclusions with taskings per the president's guidance this morning in your high side inboxes. A high side in government parlance refers to classified computer communication systems, okay? State and DOD, this is still the same message. State and DOD, we developed suggested notification lists for regional allies and partners. Joint staff is sending this. A more specific sequence of events in the coming days, and we will work with DOV to ensure COS, OVP, and POTUS are briefed. At this point, a fascinating policy discussion is commenced. The account labeled JD Vance responded in 8:16. Team, I am out for the day doing an economic event in Michigan, but I think we are making a mistake. Then he wrote, 3% of the U.S. trade runs through the Suez, 40%. So this is like, I mean, none of this is really like smoking gun stuff. Joe Kent wrote in 8:22, there is nothing time sensitive driving the timeline. We'll have the exact same options in a month. I mean, all this stuff sounds like, I mean, granted, this is sensitive information, but none of this is like crazy. At 8:27, by the way, Trump called this a nothing burger. I just quote nothing burger. just so you guys know. At 8:27, a message arrived from Pete Hegseth. VP, I understand your concerns and I fully support you raising with POTUS important considerations, most of which you are tough to know. Is that something people say? Tough to know. Again, English, not my first language. How they play out, economy, peace, Gaza. I think messaging is going to be tough no matter what. Nobody knows who the Houthis are, which is why we need to stay focused. Biden failed. Iran funded. Okay, a few minutes later, Michael Wald's account posted a link. I like how he's saying, like, well, this account's named Michael Waltz. It's not actually Michael Waltz, but it's probably Michael Waltz. Very sneaky there. The Michael Waltz account posted a lengthy note about trade figures and the limited capabilities of European navies. I'm so stupid. Navies. I need more coffee. And the limited capabilities of European navies. Whether it's now or several weeks from now, it will have to be the United States that reopens these shipping lanes. Per the president's request, we are working with DOD and the state to determine how to compile the cost associated and levy them on with Europeans. Okay. JD Vance addressed the message at 8:45 to Pete Hegseth. If you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing Europe out again. Here we go. We have a little bit more of that JD Vance anti-European aggression coming out. Here we go. This is the best part, everyone. The user identified as Hegseth responded 3 minutes later. VP, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic, but Mike is correct. We are the only ones on the planet on our side of the ledger who can do this. Nobody even comes close. Question is timing. I feel like now is a good time as any, given POTUS directive to reopen shipping lanes. I think we should go, but POTUS still remains 24 hours of decision space. And there are the pictures of the screenshots there. We pretty much covered this. I'm not going to read the rest of this article because it does go on a little bit, but that was the first half. But you guys saw the screenshots, so. But thanks to Jeffrey here, we have our national security compromised to a degree. Now, I don't think this is as big of a deal as the media is making it out. I understand that this is a little embarrassing. It is questionable that they're doing this, but it isn't like this big event that the media conglomerate is trying to push it. Rowhouse, you donated to have me read a tweet, and that's just what I'll do. And I actually really do want to talk about this. It's going to piss some people off, but I'm going to talk about it for the remainder of the stream. For those that are unaware, Austin Peterson is doing a gaming stream, so I will link to it here in a moment, so you guys can join that if you are so interested. I forgot to do that earlier, so let me do that for you guys. And then I will read your comment for the next 15 minutes of this stream. Rowhouse, thank you so much for your donation. I did not forget you. But let me pull that up here. Laura Loomer is live too. Let's see here. We're not watching Laura Loomer. Last time I talked about Laura Loomer, I got in trouble with her, so I'm not. She's a great woman, is all I'm gonna say. Right, Leo? Yeah. Okay, Austin Peterson. Okay, for members only, but let me see if you guys can access this link. I just dropped the link to Austin Peterson's members only video game streaming group there. Video game streaming stream. So if you guys are interested, if you're a member, please join. And, it will go a long way in supporting him. And that's something also to watch. If that's something you're interested in, go there. If not, stick around in Culturama world, and we will cover the next few items here with the remainder of time that we have. Okay. Okay, Row House, let me get your link up. Okay, Veronica, the Veronica tweet. For those that don't know who Veronica is, she is a health and lifestyle influencer. She just put out this new diet that's basically like Ray Pete's diet. And where is this tweet? Let me get it. Hold on. I liked this tweet already. I see it on the thing. Okay, here we go. Oh, whoops. Do you guys see that? Okay, so Row House, you asked me to comment on this tweet here, and I will gladly do so. Okay, perfect. You guys saw my OBS. Veronica writes, there is truly no demographic more universally scrutinized or outright hated than white woman. And no one talks about it. As you guys can see, if you are keen to picking up detail here, I already wrote yes, and I already liked the tweet. So you can already imagine my opinion here. And listen, guys, before you come out after me, okay, I just want to say, she's not all wrong. Yes, white men are quite afflicted by the modern narrative and the modern implements we have posed against men. Specifically things like affirmative action and so forth. And so I completely understand that. And I talk about that actually quite a bit on my social media platforms. However, I will say that as someone that has just frequented, for instance, I'm gonna say something here that's maybe a little new. As someone that has just frequented the job market and looking for work, it is kind of difficult to find a job as a white woman. And before you guys say, well, it's the same thing for white men. Yes, but think about it this way. White men and men in general can still get into labor-intensive fields, including like construction. They do primarily conscript Hispanic males, but, bear with me. Construction, security, and so forth, that does require more of a male presence. And then you have the jobs that women go for, including especially the middle class. I'm talking about the middle class here, where, women have to do more clerical duties, and I have been through the ringer when it comes to finding work here. And let me tell you, I really do feel like, and as someone that lives in a predominantly white state, I will say that it seems like they predominantly go for certain minorities. And I just think that, and as someone that was looking for work, I was like, well, I can't, the only other place that would hire me, Leo, stop, relax. I know, relax. The only other place that would likely hire me quickly would have to be in these labor-intensive jobs that only men can do. So, at least as far as the job market is concerned, finding work as a middle-class white female can be rough. It can be very rough, especially if you live, in an area that already has people of certain minorities living around you. It can be rough, and it can be economically debilitating. Now, socially speaking, let's go back to the cultural aspect of it. What I see on the right wing, this is going to be a truth that people don't want to accept. That's okay. In right-wing political circles, as well as left-wing political circles, people don't like women sometimes, and that's okay. I understand women can be annoying, but listen specifically here to the plight of white women. White women are generic enough where you can't really tokenize them. Obviously, they're white. You can tokenize them as far as them being women, but I feel like we have reached a point in our society and our social advancement and in our tokenism, where we cannot utilize women as tokens anymore. And so we have to, and this goes with the Republicans as much as Democrats, so we have to look for other minorities, especially since this country is becoming less and less white demographically. And look, I understand that for marketing purposes, fine. I don't like it that our, commercials, every single commercial has a minority, which is only a certain percentage of the American population. It doesn't reflect the actual reality of the situation, but fine, I understand. Like, it's for marketing, it's for PR, whatever. But women are also very much vilified, I would say. And that can be difficult to contend with as a woman. And I thought this was, a while back, I thought that this was just a feature and an aspect of, the right wing, because right-wing guys don't like women, I don't know, whatever. That's not true, actually. If you marry or you get in a relationship, if you guys look, this is an offensive statistics segment. If you look at, I wish I had an article. If you look at divorce rates are how much higher, people that typically are more left-leaning than it is with conservative couples, but regardless. Morals and values, right? But even in like left-wing spaces and in BreadTube, and by BreadTube I mean left-wing YouTubers. Yes, Leo. They hate white women. They hate them. Vosh? You guys know Vosh? Where's Vosh? Let me pull up a Vosh clip. He talks badly about women all the time. And this guy's supposedly a progressive. Vosh talking about women. The problem with men. Why are women afraid of men? There has to be like a compilation somewhere. No one put this is I have a mission now. My mission is to put up a compilation of Vosh talking negatively about women. Okay, Vosh is a big Vosh is a communist. Yes, Maybe Human. Thank you, Maybe Human, for joining the chat. I really appreciate it. Why is a white woman complaining again? I all I do is complain, Maybe Human. I do appreciate you joining the chat though. Women don't owe you anything. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it my sole project these next few days. Besides other things, is to make a compilation of Vosh shit talking women, because he does so. As someone that's a leftist, a progressive, a communist, he calls himself, I think, a sockdom. But as someone that is supposedly very progressive in his views, he hates women, but white women specifically. So it's a very interesting phenomenon that you will see. Destiny also does this to a degree, but Destiny has more of a reality. A reality check. But what they will do is they'll shit talk white women all the time. So this is an aspect, I think, in every part of the political spectrum. Welcome to planet Earth, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're a woman and you complain, joke's on you. Don't open your mouth, right? Also, we have $5 from Row House. Thank you so much, Row House. You're very generous, and I very much appreciate you. You're out. Look at Harry Sisson. He is what the left-wing men think about women. He is what left-wing men think about women. Yes, Harry Sisson, not the brightest move on his part, I gotta say. Although I do think those ladies were exaggerating quite a bit about the allegations of him being a heterosexual male. But yeah, as someone that talks about respecting women, he's not acting all that respectably around women. But you know what? The guy wants some TNA. Let him have some TNA, I guess. He's a young guy. He should do it. But what I don't understand, what really irked me about that whole case, is that he told, from what I saw in the screenshots, multiple women, he told them that he does not want to be in a long-term serious relationship, and they still fell for it. They still got emotional about it, and I think perhaps it was a ploy. Yes. Okay, everyone. But Leo, I gotta let Leo out. You guys saw Leo? Okay, make sure you say your goodbyes. We're gonna have to let him out.
Oh, my little chihuahua, you run so fast.
Okay, say goodbye, everyone. Leo's leaving. right. Okay, Leo has been released, everyone. Thank you so much. Oh, there's hair everywhere. Thank you so much for everyone for that donated. Nelson65 wrote, "Bye, Leo." And for those, if you want a pillow of Leo, we actually do have a pillow of him just like this. I'm going to order one myself soon on the Culturama shop. So that's something to consider. Okay, you guys, I am reaching to the end of my stream here. So I do have other things to do. So I do want to thank everyone that has joined. Please subscribe, follow the stream, follow me on Twitter. If you guys want updates on the show, let me show you my profile here. Okay, here it is. Oh, do you see that? Yes. It's at DC Pensac, like the capital, once again, at DC Pensac. And you will see a picture of this hideous creature right here. I'm joking, of course. I have a healthy self-esteem. And you can go on and follow me and get some live updates on the show. And or if you want other updates about stuff that I'm doing, that's one way that you can follow me and get updates on the show. Otherwise, follow and like the stream, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Rowhouse. Thank you, Entropy Nomad Nelson65. Maybe Human writes that puppy is fat. Maybe Human, that is where you're wrong. He is not a puppy. He is an old man. But he is fat. And Rowhouse wrote, get Sarah's stock back on. Very good idea, Rowhouse. I'll probably be reaching out to her as well. But I'm going to do my outro here in a second. But I want to thank everyone that has joined. What a wonderful big stream today. Very plentiful. Very plentiful. Very active. Where's my music? Even the Ralpha male made it on. We had Carolyn Borisenko. My goodness, like we had a great showing. Okay.
The heart they gather strong, pushing back.
Okay, everyone, if you still want some fun, go to Austin Peterson's video game stream. I put the link in the chat. So that is something you can do. It's for members only, though. But otherwise, everyone, I hope that we can all collectively take back the zeitgeist, bring back the culture of traditional Americana back into the United States. And also, let's reclaim the future, the past, and the present narrative. Let's take back tomorrow today. I hope you all can have a wonderful evening. And I will see you Thursday. We'll be having another live interview as well as many fun stories and add-ons. So everyone, I'll see you on Thursday. And then on Saturday for my video game stream. I'll see you guys later. Thank you everyone for joining. And make sure to subscribe to the channel.
Marching proudly through the day. In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive in the light of freedom's sky. We got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
We stand firm in our belief. Hold tight. Through the times clearer we can see. Crazy world spinning round. Stay grounded. In our heart's simple dream.